FROGun is a game all about exploring bug-infested ruins and using a frog gun to grapple and parkour your way through different biomes, all with the N64/PSX flair. But behind an adorable art style, fun concept, and at times phenomenal level design, comes the usual glitches and frustration you'd expect from a game like this. And sometimes, not the good kind of glitches and frustration you'd expect from a game like this.
Bro, relax! Relax, bro, relax! Why do you go the same direction I'm running?
No way!
To start off, let's get right into it. FROGun would usually set you back by $15 USD and can usually be found on a sale, even if it's just a couple of dollars off. But hey, a sale's a sale. Anyhow, what the hell is a FROGun? FROGun is a game stylized like old school platformers, akin to your Crash Bandicoots and Marios, with old school gameplay to match, tight platforming, collectibles, frustrating bosses. It's all here. In this game you control Renata, a young girl who sets out to find her parents after they went missing spelunking in an ancient temple. Using your frog, which doubles as a grapple gun, did you get it? You'll traverse snowy mountains, spooky caves, and even a gold-filled palace that was a pleasant surprise for the final world. While playing the game, you'll encounter bosses, meet side characters, and unlock some hats. And in each level be tasked with the goal of collecting coins, diamonds, and attempting to speedrun each and every level. This game is really simple, and everything I mentioned can be fun. But without a doubt, where FROGun's strength lies the most is its unique and retro art style and world. If you grew up playing games on the N64 and PlayStation 1, like I have, then honestly this game feels like a blast from the past. It's like seeing one of your favorite games remade, even though you never played it. And because the game is modern, there's a layer of nostalgia and beauty hidden in its polygons. It can visually be a fun treat to look at for fans of the genre, especially since the music is just as good as the visuals, allowing you to really get lost in the game world and relive the days when games were much simpler. But unfortunately, simpler is definitely a word used to describe this game. As for the gameplay, it's simple, maybe a bit too simple, which is both this game's biggest strength and its biggest weakness. To play this game, it's really easy. Jump, grapple onto enemies or a wall, and repeat? Yeah, no, seriously, that's the whole game. While FROGun is stylized like an N64 game, it's as mechanically advanced as an NES game, i.e. not at all. And that's not me trying to be harsh on this game. It was made by a smaller studio and it had to be funded through Kickstarter, showing that this wasn't a game that had an expansive budget or all the time in the world to be released. But even with that being said, I have to call it as it is. An extreme lack of power-ups or gameplay mechanics being introduced really hurt my drive to continue this game while I was playing it. Don't get me wrong, the level design was solid, and new in-level mechanics really helped to liven things up while I was playing. But because when playing this game you start and end it exactly the same, the gameplay becomes kind of repetitive, almost immediately. And because there's pretty much only 2 buttons, you can never really enjoy it like a real platformer or get creative with your movement. Sliding, wall jumping, even crouching. This game doesn't have any of that. Base level platforming mechanics, non-existent. While upgrades like an extended frog tongue as an example, a double jump, and maybe even a projectile hash/suit could have helped to liven up the gameplay experience the deeper I got into it, but none of that just ever happened. Level 1 Renata is the same as level 30 Renata. I will give credit where credit is due in saying that again. The level design is phenomenal and helps to alleviate the issues I just mentioned, with levels varying extremely on a level by level basis, introducing new platforms, level mechanics, and even enemies that require just a bit more thinking than the last. You almost forget that the entire game is being played with only 2 buttons. But I want to be as clear as possible, even though the gameplay is almost too minimalistic, what is here works. And pretty well actually. Though it sucks, the controls never evolved to be as free as a Super Mario 64 or as in-depth as a Banjo-Kazooie. It all still controls extremely well, and feels tight, which is usually not the case for the genre. Now, while the enemies can be a bit diverse, the bosses are a completely different story. While there are 6, the game actually loves their bosses so much that after beating the story, you get to fight all the bosses again. And then after that, you get to do it again. Except now they're red. I mean, it's not entirely bad, the bosses can be fun, but it's like, they're the same exact bosses each time you fight them. Which is fine, I guess, you don't have to do this to beat the game, but if you're like me and want that plat, well, guess what you're gonna have to do? Which, funny enough, you're supposed to unlock this super secret hat once you beat the final boss rush, and the game glitched on me. I spent so much time trying to get this plat that by the time I realized that I was glitched out of a hat, I already beat the final boss rush 3 times. Now this game will forever be 2 trophies away from the plat because you bet I'm not doing all that again. But besides all that, I did have fun with the game. Is it for everyone? Not at all. But personally, I found myself enjoying the locations and simple but charming plot, wanting to push forward to see just exactly what the next stage had to offer, seeing how can I beat the rival and absolutely embarrass him, and seeing what cool hat I can unlock next. If none of that seems interesting to you in the slightest, then I really can't even blame you. This game isn't made for everyone, and even though it was made for people like me in mind, it still barely struggled to do just that for me. FROGun is a game stylized to be a retro console game, and it is a deceptively fun game. But just because your concept and style is old and simple, it doesn't mean your gameplay has to be too. Modern day games in the genre have proven just this. But if you can look past the simplicity and think you can make the most out of an extremely simple concept, there just might be enough charm in here to push you forward. Just be ready to fight the same bosses multiple times. If this style of game is for you, then I think the price of FROGun is fair. Definitely a good buy if you can catch it on a really good sale. Enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.